So let's go back to our top story now at this hour. The unrest in Mozambique poses the potential threat of disrupting the SADC region in various forms. International relations consultant Charles Sinkala joins us now for more. Charles, good morning. Thank you for joining us. At this point, we dare say good morning, given what is transpiring in our neighboring country. And so as we look at the dynamics unfolding, perhaps even the possible causes for concern, talk to us about, from your vantage point, the threats that the unrest might cause for the SADC region at large.
Yes, indeed, it's quite disappointing that we have in the history of Africa that we have certain countries such as Mozambique that can fail to provide peace and security within its country. And I think this is overflowing now to the neighboring regions. And it's up to now the international community, especially the regional organization, to send an envoy there to to put a stop to such a drama which has capitalized on the many lives which has been lost as we speak.
Charles, we obviously looking at possibilities and probabilities, but this is obviously without alluding to anything. But there are questions about the likelihood of a coup occurring. What are you observing?
At this stage, anything is possible. One, there was a rejection of the Frelimo government by the people of Mozambique. Two, the elections that was contended, in October was rejected as well. And as well as the highest constitutional council, which, declared Daniel Chapo as the winner, has also been rejected. And I think from October to now, the government, and especially the outgoing President Nyusi, is supposed to declare the nation a state of emergency so that they can have a 90 days cool-off period to attend for the new fresh elections for the people's aspiration and wishes, and I think to bring the country to normalcy. As at now, it is out of hand. As I can see from yesterday, one of the banks was looted.
You know, Charles, at this time, because the situation is tense and volatile, we're also just trying to understand, given the number of deaths and injuries that have been recorded to date, but also the hot spots in some of the areas and the provinces in Mozambique, what is the impact that this is also having on the livelihoods of people? You mentioned that there has been looting or stories of looting emerging, but also just the safety of ordinary citizens, even tourists alike.
Yes, Lizzo, as we have seen, Mozambique was struck in the north from the Gado's conflicts in terms of economic fault there, which Mozambique was trying to contend, but it has spread to Maputo and other areas of the country, notwithstanding the fact that neighboring countries as well are being affected in terms of economic activities. South Africa, due to the Transnet having issues in Durban there, they've been dependent to do economic activities through Maputo. Unfortunately, that has been closed as well. It's quite saddening that, we haven't had any content, in terms of how this can be resolved. As at now, as we stand, protests are escalating.
Because, Charles, to your earlier point about what's happening in the north, given the activities of the insurgency as well, what's the likelihood of a terrorist organization in the country perhaps taking advantage of the unrest as well, spewing more uncertainty at this point and that also spreading at large?
Of course, during such a time when the country is destabilized, its security wings are paralyzed, there's no normalcy, there's no constitutional normalcy, there's no, security for the citizens. This is when now the insurgencies are taking advantage to do any escalation of military support, and as well as, escalating in terms of their capacity. As you have seen that the government at the moment was suspended due to the elections in October. There's no sitting government, only the president and the skeleton which is working. And I think the country is very vulnerable at this stage. So we've got to see certain options that a country can take in such a predicament. One is to confirm what the Constitutional Court Council rather said, by swearing in a new president who now have to take charge, and invite all the stakeholders, if it is difficult during the wartime such as this, to create a government of national unity, which I doubt it will go to that extent, because there was rejections in terms of working together with the Frelimo. The people of Mozambique are rejecting completely the government of Frelimo, and they would like either the fresh elections to be rerun or the government to step down and give the Valentino Modlane, who has been declared to be winner by the opposition and many international communities, including the Vatican.
Charles, we obviously looking at the dynamics unfolding because we're looking at, as you mentioned, the will, the people that, they're calling for re-election or rerun as well. We're also looking at the visibility of soldiers that had been deployed, but just their reactions, their actions towards civilians in trying to contain the situation. In lieu of what's happening, I mean, during this period as well, would you say that there's a power vacuum of sorts as well?
There is definitely, Israel. There's quite a big power vacuum, and with the power vacuum brings up dysfunctional government, and these are the results and the consequences once you've got such symptoms. And I think, as you've mentioned, bringing up military escalation within the country just makes citizens not to feel comfortable, because it has been said that the military can only fight in the battlefront. And once you see them in the civilian circles, that means that there is no free and fair type of citizenry enjoyment. And I think we're calling on the international community, especially South Africa, who is quite largely affected by the escalation there and many other the threats to the southern part of African region. I'm also calling President Mnangagwa, who is the chairperson for politics and international relations on the SADC region, to appoint some heads of states and government to go to Mozambique there and see how they can quell the escalation of violence and bring normalcy to that country, at least to offer some hope to the people of Mozambique and the African region. You must remember that, Lisa, that many of the citizens go to an election for two things. One is for the renewal, and two, to have hope that probably the new government shall be ushered in. They have some economic activities and participation. Now, what has happened is completely outside their expectations, and hence the violence is escalating. Also, criminal activities cannot be ruled out in such a period of time.
Charles, just very quickly, I need to wrap up, but from here on too, I want to look at what should South Africa and its neighboring countries also be doing to, to perhaps just contain the situation, given the fact that there are concerns about possible refugee problem. If the situation does escalate, your sense, your 2 cents as we wrap up.
Yes, I think diplomatic mediation is imminent. Would like an envoy either from the United Nations, and as well we can make it as an African problem. We can do it from the SADC region, like I mentioned. An envoy to go into that country shall give so much hope that at least there's a outside intervention, as apart from what the Mozambicans are being told by the highest constitutional court to elect or to recognize a head of state whom they have never voted for.
All right, Charles Sinkala, thank you for joining us at this hour. We are certainly monitoring developments as that story unfolds. International relations consultant Charles Sinkala joining us and weighing in on the impasse in Mozambique, perhaps also the impact that it's going to be having on the SADC region at large.